You're listening to the Claret and Big Blue podcast on the Pass the Gravy Podcast Network.
Damn, Daniel.
Over the middle, touchdown Giants.
Taken away by Wicks.
Oh, it's glorious. It's Pettis to Jones. Oh, what a catch by Daniel Jones.
Cleared as far as Saeed Ben Rama.
And we are live.
We'll do it live.
Welcome everyone to Claret and Big Blue, probably the only podcast on the internet dedicated to West Ham United and the New York Giants. That's right, football and football balls. For everyone's sakes, I'm Mike Fish and I am joined as always by a man who was miserable about 15 minutes ago. It's Mr. Alex Middleton. Alex, how you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm doing a lot better. I was like, we're gonna have ourselves like a little pity party talking about what's going on. We have a guest booked for today's show, and we're just gonna be like, all right, well, we're gonna hate ourselves for another season at least. And like 15, 20 minutes before we are set to go, on my phone it says Joe Judge out as head coach of the New York Giants. Man,
It's like a weight has been lifted.
Man. Never like to talk about another man's job. I mean, I'm sure he's getting the buyout and everything.
He's
not
getting
gonna
like
be
$5
hungry.
million a year. He'll be fine.
Kids aren't going to be hungry or anything like that. But thank God that our team can no longer be ruined by the combination of Gettleman and Judge. I mean, I tried to buy into Judge. I was pretty much on the Judge bandwagon for the last month or so, honestly.
Yeah, we was
That's
like,
what
give
I
me
was just
that
this
culture,
isn't
Joe.
salvageable. This isn't salvageable. And so that is just another L in the trying to find the next Tom Coughlin sweepstakes that the Giants have been on. It's not Pat Shurmur. It's not Ben McAdoo. And it is officially not Joe Judge anymore. Man, we have Stephie Smalls joining us again in a little bit, but what a shit show to like break down right now. Like, where do we discuss head coaching vacancies? Like, do we discuss like what GMs? That was going to be what we were going to talk about the most. Is Dan back? Who knows? We're excited to have Steph here and a little bit. Your immediate thoughts on it, Mike?
What? You just kind of like auto-tuned there for a second.
Oh no! Like, what are your immediate thoughts like after finding out the news? Like, what do you think so far? I said you said like a weight lifted off your chest, but like, what else are you thinking?
I'm just kind of excited to see who else is going to ruin the Giants next year. It's like a new face to complain
Don't
about.
say things like that. We're gonna find a savior. Maybe they've just listened to management finally listened to the fans, and they're like, dude, these people fucking hate these coaches that we have. They hate the GM. Like, Gettleman retire, Judge, you're out. Like, they made it look like he was staying because he met with him yesterday, and I don't know. Jay Glazer had a report come out yesterday said he was 50% sure that Judge was starting.
They went down to 25%,
and it was just like Glazer doesn't miss on many of those. So interesting to see what happens from here on out. I want to see the press conference. I wish we could go like live with the press conference.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. Like do a screen on, what's it called? Picture in picture. But yeah, I'm kind of optimistic because at least the owners are kind of saying, okay, first thing we're going to do is get the new GM, and then it's going to be basically their job to find a new head coach. So at least there'll be a little bit of cohesion between the two. New head coach, new GM. It's going to be David Ruiz. Got to think positive. No room for negativity. Oh, there was a lot of negativity coming in a little while ago, but now I'm
Dude, there was about to be so much negativity. There's about to be so much negativity this whole podcast, and I'm just glad that it like I don't know. I'm just like kind of like it is a relief, like you said, like a weight has been lifted off of our chest at this point in time, and you know, like not winning games isn't gonna that just didn't make any sense. Like if they had improved again, we like almost like where Brian Flores got fired from the Dolphins, it was like, well, at least he he just beat the Patriots. Obviously, that guy's staying. And
at least you could see some improvement with them.
Yeah, they were improving year in and year out. Now, apparently, there's some infighting with some other members of the coaching staff and himself later on and throughout the season as well. But like you were like, okay, well, Brian Flores will probably stay, right? And then Brian Flores isn't going to stay. You're like, how the hell is Joe Judge going to stay? Matt Nagy's out. Like, they blew us out. How is Joe Judge going to stay? It made no sense that we had stuck through it at that point, and it's weird that they're making the decision now. But I wonder if like they had a couple of GM interviews today, and if the candidates that they interviewed in the GM part was just like, dude, I don't want to fucking work with Joe Judge. Like maybe like, if they could they've had two interviews where the interviewees were just like, dude, I don't want that. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, every time they interview someone, maybe one of the questions was, if we hired you, would you want to work with Joe Judge? And they were all like, no.
They're like, so it's a unanimous decision. If we're going to hire any of these guys, which we want to hire one of them, we got to get rid of Joe Judge. So they got to make the job more appealing, maybe. It was a weird thing. We talked about it before in the season where it was like, are they going to do the Bill O'Brien thing and make him GM? Like, it's weird to hire a GM and not a new coach. Usually you see them both go out, or else it's just like the second Joe Judge would have met the new GM. It's like, hey, I'm going to be the guy that fires you in a year, which is essentially what that would have been. And it's like, that's just a waste of another year of everything else that you're doing, years on people's contracts, while you could just start it over, hit the reset button. I don't like hitting the reset button because it usually means that there's pain ahead. But at least like if you're building towards something positive, then I don't mind the pain as much.
I mean, yeah, we're going to be joined by Stephie in a couple of minutes, and I guess the conversation is going to be like candidates that we kind of think that might be in there. Also, now we're kind of like, because Daniel is the last year's Daniel's contract, right? Next year? Where does that go?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, you know, that was the one thing I thought with Judge was like, that means that Jones will probably be back, but if you bring in a new guy, again, like you got to look at what do we have left? How much is Danny going to cost? Because I don't know if it's going to be a $20 million cap hit or whatever it is to add that year to his deal. It just feels like him and Saquon. Saquon's not as much, I don't think, but Danny, no. I don't know. I think I wonder what the next person to come in is going to do, because if they have a guy they can bring in a free agency type situation or something like that, maybe this I don't know. I'll talk about it with Stephie. I have a crazy scenario where maybe Aaron Rodgers joins the Giants if he goes into free agency or gets traded or something like that. But I guess it would have to be a trade. But a crazy probably won't happen. But what if Aaron Rodgers situation? And just I don't know. Is Judge not being there? That was his guy, or that wasn't his guy. That was the guy he was forced to deal with. They're kind of tied together though. The GM that drafted him is out. It makes it seem like Jones may not be the guy next year.
Yeah, I mean, you could make. I have, and I still
probably Dan stands. We're still Dan stands.
We're still Dan stands, but it makes sense of how bad the Giants have been consistently now for several seasons. That new GM, new head coach, it wouldn't be shocked to have like a whole clean slate. Because then that buys people time. Hey, this is a totally new rebuilding structure, and it's going to be another 2-3 years before we start doing anything.
Right.
I could see that happening, but it would be a shame. But because I think they mentioned it at the game, was it? Because after next season we get the option of extending Daniel Jones's contract, but it's something ridiculous like 20 million, or I think they said.
There's 21 million, yeah.
21 million. So. Unless he does come back next year and has an amazing season, I think.
But he does have the year. I think you try and ride it out with like, okay, hey, do you want to do anything with Daniel Jones? Is he worth it? We got him fairly cheap right now. Do you want to do that? Maybe not long term. I think you got to make him play out that contract.
I think it makes sense to have him play out the contract, because
bring in somebody maybe to like have some competition, so you don't have a Jake Fromm, Mike Glennon possible situation if Danny can't stay healthy next year. And then, maybe that makes Danny, do just a little bit more to earn the job. And who knows, maybe he needs another person to mentor him, to coach him, or whatever it is. It does suck though when you see a quarterback. I think now he's gone through 5 four coordinators in his 3 years as a starter for the Giants, including the year he kind of took over for Eli. That's tough to get used to. That was Alex Smith's big out. They're like, well, I mean, he did have 5 OCs in 5 seasons. Not playing in the same system is always going to be difficult on a quarterback. And then Alex Smith went on to have a pretty successful career. You can turn around the turnovers with Danny. Danny has the skill set there, and we've said that over and over again. I know we're going into year 4, but he hasn't been healthy this year. He was playing pretty well against the Eagles that game. Who knows what he would have done if he didn't have the neck injury?
I mean, there's been so many issues. What's more frustrating than glad that we're finally getting this almost reset, because it was something I was always going to bitch about at length on this show until we got the good news. But big things need to change, because what is the main bad thing about the Giants is the offensive line, right? Is the O-line's been terrible, and we've been complaining about that even since Eli's last 2 seasons.
It was. I mean, we went from having like the last Super Bowl we won in 2011, having one of the most dominant offensive lines in the league. Yeah, they got old, they left, and just we couldn't protect our guys, and that's not entirely the reason. I understand Danny turns the ball over and stuff like that at times, but when you don't have a consistent offensive line, that's like having the same 5 guys in front of you year in and year out is going to benefit any quarterback. And yeah, there's injuries that play a part of that. That there's talent that also plays a part of that. But he didn't have either, and Eli didn't either at the end of his career. And it was just like looking back, yeah, the coaching staff sucked on all those teams. It was different those years that he had the dominant defense. But then he did have the dominant defense. He just didn't have an offense that could move the ball. We have all the talent there on offense, like skill position wise. Now it was just depressing when they were showing some of the stats during the Washington game on Sunday, where it was like Kenny Golladay has 400, 500 yards, and he leads the team in receiving yards, and that's the lowest total by a leading receiver on a team in the league this year.
What did he end up with? Is it 36 receptions, 0 touchdowns?
Yeah, like 36 receptions. And then there was a tweet that was after he signed it. It was like, how many touchdowns will Kenny Golladay have this season? It was like, Kenny Golladay has as many touchdowns for the Giants as he did when they tweeted this. We're that team now, man. We're the team that everybody looks at that has the stupid memes. I understand everybody tags me on all the memes, and I get it. I talk shit about us, but I hate that's our team now. I hate that's our team. There's nothing we can do about it.
And didn't he get paid like 18 million this season? So it's like 500 grand per reception.
Yeah.
Not a bad gig.
Yeah.
Not a bad gig.
I mean, and he was injured, but still.
Oh wow. Still, onwards and upwards. But I think it's not apples to apples, but I think if you're going to compare it to a Premier League team, I'm not saying we've got this good of players, but it's almost like a Manchester United situation where we have players that can be successful. It's just we have idiots in charge of them.
Right. And we have to be able to find and at least find somebody that's able to like manage the idiots as well. You shouldn't have to manage the idiots owning the team and everybody else in the field and players and everything like that. But you got to be able to kind of do both. That's why I think this GM hiring process is going to tell a lot about where this team is going to go. Whenever we get Stephie, I have a couple of I do have somebody that I know as a GM candidate, but while we're waiting on her, I have a couple of she sent her another invite. Let me see if she's got it. Some free agent quarterbacks coming up in this offseason. We have Ben Roethlisberger, probably going to retire. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, Cam Newton, Tyrod Taylor, Jameis Winston, Jacoby
So Geno
Brissett.
Smith was available.
Yeah, Geno Smith, Tim Boyle, Chad Henne, Marcus Mariota, Flacco, and Bridgewater. So, like, those are not an A-list of quarterbacks. Alex O says Deshaun Watson. I meant not via trade, because there's gonna be the talks about Rodgers moving potentially, Russell Wilson potentially moving, and Deshaun Watson definitely. Those would also make sense. And then with Tua, if Miami does pursue Deshaun, like they've been rumored year in and like all throughout the year to do, then I think that maybe Tua's on the move too. And I don't know. Do you want to look at Tua for a year or whatever? It just depends. It really depends on who the coach is. Like, what if Brian Flores? Would it be crazy if Brian Flores came and they made a trade and we got Tua somehow from the Miami getting Deshaun from the Texans, then shipping off Tua to the Giants or something like that?
Right, let's segue. Let's bring in our guests as we can continue on. Let's see if I can seamlessly bring her in without ballsing up the overlays. So, here we go.
Damn, Daniel.
Oh, it's close. There we go.
Hey!
Good. What's up, guys?
What's up, Stephie? How you doing?
How am I doing? I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
We was just saying, like 20 minutes ago, we was going to be miserable, but now we're celebrating. Cheers.
I just cracked one. I couldn't wait. I was back there. I'm like, I got to crack my beer. I can't wait. But I did grab a beer to celebrate with you guys. I'm shocked. It's funny. I put my phone away for an hour. I try to like do that so I can get work done, and because I'm such a spaz trying to get things done. And I put it down. So I went back to go grab my iPad. I promise you, the first notification that pops up, Ian Rappaport, Joe Judge has been fired. I'm surprised I didn't break the thing. I was so excited.
I mean, we were just talking about this. Like, we didn't expect this at all. Yesterday, he had the meeting with the ownership and everything, and we thought if he was going to be out, it would have been then. I was talking to Mike as well earlier, saying, do you think that they had a couple of those GM interviews? The GM guy, like all the candidates were just like, I'm not fucking doing Judge. I'm not doing it. I don't care. It's not going to happen.
I mean, that has to be right. I think it's a lot to expect. You know, it's one thing to take on a head coach that's having some kind of success, showing some upward progression. But again, who wants to take on this team in the state it's in with their head coach with so many question marks? So obviously that's going to happen. He's going to get pushback. And especially when there's so many openings across the league, you got to make yourself a little bit more appealing for these GMs and let them pick their own character.
Yeah. I like, do you have, like, off the top of your head right now, like, who do you think as a possible, like, next candidate to I mean, we're going to probably get the GM first, then we go the head coaching route. At that point, it would be pretty dumb to just be like, here's your coach. But who are you thinking possibly GMs wise? I think we have Ziegler, Osenfort, Poles, and Schoen. I saw we had interviews or are going to have interviews this week. Do you have a favorite, or Kevin Adams? That he was rumored to be maybe the guy. Oh my gosh!
If that happened, that may have been the last straw for me. If they kept Judge and promoted Abrams, like, I really believe that may have been the last. Like, I don't know that I could stomach the Giants anymore. I think Schoen is an interesting option. It seems like he's kind of the first name that came out, and as we know with Giants Nation, Giants Twitter, everyone gets very excited, and then I think they kind of clung on to that name, you know, a little bit quicker than maybe was necessary. That? What was that?
But Matt Rule, when we were looking for Judge, it was just like, no, we all are on the Rule train, and then.
Right. Like, just because it's the first name that comes out doesn't mean that, one, it's the best option, two, it's going to happen. I think Poles is also someone, you know, given the state of our offensive line and how horrendous that has been for years, I kind of like him. I think that he would be a good option. But again, who is he going to pair with? So I think there's a lot, you know, and there's so many openings too is the problem. So I think it makes the Giants actually a little bit more appealing, whereas, like, it was going to be pretty hard to bring a GM over here and be like, here you go, here's your roster, here's your coach, you need an OC, your DC might leave. So
good luck.
It makes it more appealing, at least, to these GMs.
Yeah, it's like a blank slate to work with now. That's like a project now.
Which brings us back to, like, our most concerning question is, as Dan stands all of us here on this podcast, is our king going to return next year in your mind?
I think so. I mean, I guess, again, I try not to speak from because I really want them to give him another chance there. My concern with, you know, some of the options is I don't know that they would want to keep Danny, but I'm hoping that also maybe they've evaluated his talent to a level where it's like, he's totally just getting coached the wrong way. The play calling's awful. His weapons aren't helping him. Is there things that we can do? You know, Daniel, even if you do not like Daniel, the best thing for this team, in my opinion, is to keep Daniel another year given the the rookies that are coming in, given the free agency options, given that we are broke, there's a lot of things that need to get fixed. And I don't know that he ever got a real shot. And yes, I know continuity is part of the problem why Mara, has been dragging his feet on a lot of things. But I think that keeping Daniel is the best call. I don't know, Flores isn't going to be a guy that's going to want to keep Daniel. He doesn't like Tua. He wanted Herbert. I don't know that, if he were to come over, he'd keep him. I think it makes sense to keep Daniel.
Right. You get the one more year, just see what he is.
You don't have to pick up his 5th-year option. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But at
maybe
least,
he can service or bridge the gap at least. It doesn't make a lot of sense to just dump him to me.
He looked improved. He was developing, going through his reads, he looked better right before that time that he got hurt. So I'd love to see what he could do. They're going to have some serious – and also, we have the 5th and 7th pick in the draft. That's another thing that's very appealing. You're not only taking on this team, it's like we've got a lot. We've got 12 picks in this draft. There's a lot of fun to work with there. They're definitely going to have to make some roster moves as far as I don't know what they're going to do with money, but you saw the Saints do just fine. They figured it out. Their cap space is trash too. So there's ways around these things.
Right, because logistically, it's pretty much unanimously known that there's no good or no decent quarterbacks coming from the draft this year. Plus, we have so many other issues. It just makes sense to keep him for another year at least and use the draft.
We're not a quarterback away.
Right, exactly.
Definitely not. And I think too, one of the things I think was so disheartening this year, and you guys can, correct me if you disagree, is you look at teams that people claim were worse than the Giants, right? So I just watched the Jags beat the Colts, so I actually don't want to hear anything from anyone about the Jags because they were managed to beat the Colts. And then the Lions, right? The Lions have stayed in every single game. They actually kind of look like us last year. Losing by a couple points. There's some pieces that need to be added, but everything you need is kind of right there on the verge from being at least competitive. And you see the Lions fight. You see, you want to see that. You want to just need to add good players. Maybe you have to get rid of a few guys, but you want to add good players. I think the Lions, I want to be in the Lions' shoes where it's okay, we keep Goff for another year if we want to. And then if we want to get rid of him next year after we've put a beautiful foundation for a new guy to come in, then we're in a good place.
No, it was exactly like last year where we were all right, Judge, they seem like they're buying into the culture. There's something to build towards, and then that all just washed away.
Judge wishes he was Dan Campbell.
Yeah, dude. It would be so much cooler to just be in the Lions position right now. Yeah, and Jones is kind of at that spot. But where do you think that this is going? What do you think is next for this team? I guess hiring a GM. If you had to pick right now, who do you think the guy would be?
From a non. There's an interesting. I was listening today actually. One of the guys, the Arizona Cardinals. What's his name? He used to be a safety. And then the other one of them though, his dad, did he either play or he has some kind of connection to the Giants. So we have to realize that also Mara is going to Mara. And I think that there's going to end up being some kind of, they will find some way to connect something. I don't know what that means, how it's going to happen, but they will end up connecting something. I really like Poles for us. I know everyone's very in on, the Bills guy, but I think they're also hanging on to this, stop trying to compare Daniel and Josh Allen, okay? I get it. I understand that you guys wanted that leap and there's, some athletic similarities, but that doesn't mean we need staff from the Bills. There's ways to get other guys and still move in a good forward motion.
We almost kind of did that with Judge, where I think a lot of teams do that with Patriots hires, where, okay, well, what he's going to do is he's going to just instill everything and do it exactly the way that Belichick did it. It's every organization doesn't have to work that way. The Chiefs do things entirely different. He's got to be able to take that skill set and pick what to do that fits this system right, or that fits this organization right.
Yeah, and I almost think I'm cool with us actually not trying to look in the. If you look back, I was listening today to, I forget who I was listening to, the guys that have come from the Patriots system they're not guys that are winning championships and doing very well outside when they do leave the Pats system. Even Flores is probably one of the guys that we were oh, awesome, he's a great guy to come out of there. I still think it was bold of us to even hire a special teams guy. Like, looking back on it, that was seriously crazy, actually. Like, he was not a coach in the league long enough, and then to bring him on as a special teams coach, like,
no one had any idea who he was.
It's not.
So many people had no clue.
I don't know what we were even thinking then. Like, it was easy to buy into him and get excited, and I get that. And I think he's a good guy. You know, I see people like sending his like wife messages, his kid. Like, just leave the guy alone. He's a good guy. He'll probably get another maybe not special teams because ours look bad, but I'm sure he will get another job. But again, like, I think we should really this time, like, if you're gonna do it right, Mara, and you're gonna really start over, go outside of what we normally do. Go get a Bieniemy. I'm all down for getting someone like Bieniemy. Let's really like change things up.
You think would Bieniemy be your favorite? Like, who you would want the most right now?
Yeah, he's an interesting. There's also, you know, the Colts OC. I heard is maybe someone, you know, I don't know what direction they're going to go here. I'd be interested in the Colts OC. I'd also be interested in maybe the Packers OC, but, you know, guys like Bieniemy. Yeah, I really like Hackett.
Hackett would be cool. And then maybe, like, do you get crazy and then Aaron Rodgers is looking for somewhere to go and Hackett's like, hey, dude, come on over here. Maybe we get A-Rod and then
they gotta be smart with what they do. Hopefully they can, you know, I'm a little nervous. It's a little nerve-wracking now. The good thing is there's not that many GM options. Like, I don't know that I don't like a lot of the GM options. I think that they need to believe in that person the way that, you know, they wanted to believe in Judge to make the right decisions, but then they were like, actually, we're going to hire your OC and we're going to hire your O-line coach, which we saw how that happened. Garrett got fired. Colombo barely lasted even the full season. So they need to believe in the guy that they hire and actually make decisions. I was on one of those Twitter spaces right before this, and people are very opposed to Patrick Graham being the head coach. If Patrick Graham wants to interview for the head coaching position, I am not against that by any means. I just think that they are going to clear house.
We already did that with McAdoo. We already did the McAdoo thing. It's like we can't just have a repeat.
Mind. That's the problem. We're living in the decade that we won the Super Bowls. Like, it's a very offensive league. We need to get someone that's very offensive minded and go from there. And I think that's what's going to set Daniel up for the best success moving forward. And I think that's the way you can keep him another year.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think we have the team anywhere near to compete for A-Rod.
I really don't think we'd get Rodgers. I was just making a joke about Hackett, maybe. I don't know.
Guys, no one wants to come to New York. Don't, like, listen.
Everyone's like, Russell Wilson is linked to the Giants, and like every other article you see every day. Like, why would he want, like, what would make him think this is better than the Seahawks?
Stay in Seattle and win Super Bowls there. Like, and if Aaron happens to win the Super Bowl, that man is going to retire so fast and make everyone look so silly for even speaking his name going to other teams.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to do any of that stuff. But I think Hackett though would be like again, like you said, like we need somebody that's just gonna be like, all right, we're gonna figure out how to score points because we were not good at scoring points the last 3 seasons, and that's how you like defense does win championships, but you have to score points to be able to have your defense.
I don't want to bring someone on that's coming also from a broken system, right? Like I want to bring someone that has been in a winning system, you know, has shown results and can come here and actually change the culture. Like, let's not talk about changing culture. Let's make the culture a winning culture and set these guys up for success.
You mean you didn't like the whole, hey, we may not be winning, but none of our players have golf clubs?
And what was that like? Just judge me off the product off the field. No, we did that last year, dude. Like,
you get 1 year of that, yeah.
Like, I'm good. What did you're getting in a better position to punt? Like, get off the team. Like, I'm done. Like, this is like ridiculous. You're not setting anyone up for success. And I also wonder too, like, how many of those guys, I don't know if you guys saw in the last game, they flashed to the sidelines at one point, and like it was Daniel, Saquon, and I forget who the other guy was. It might have been, I don't know who it was. And they were literally like kind of laughing. Like, and it's like they know it's a joke. Like, and when you have players that are not, why should they be bought in when you're not giving them the best, you know, the best things that they need to be able to succeed? So I think that's why I think you keep Daniel too. Like, right? It's a young team. Don't bring in someone older. Like, just stick with the young thing. We're going to be a young team. Start from scratch. We have a lot of draft picks too. It's actually really this is exciting, but obviously you can blow it too.
He's Alex Smith right now. Jones is Alex Smith when it was like, oh, he had 5 OCs in 5 years. 49ers didn't really know what to do with him. And then, okay, well, he may not be the greatest quarterback, but he's a manageable quarterback. And I don't expect Daniel to be an elite guy, like a top 5, but I think he can win us games. And as long as he doesn't fuck it up, if he changes the turnovers, gets some protection, and there's a lot.
The thing is, he needed to develop, but he is one of the more athletic guys. Like, he is, bottom line. I mean, he can do things that some quarterbacks can't do, but he needs someone to come in there and really help him develop. Give him the opportunities also to feel confident. You know how excited you see our guy? Did you see how excited Slayton was to score a touchdown? That's embarrassing. Like, that was one I was like, whoa, this franchise is in a dark place, dude. Like, to get that excited to score a touchdown is bad. Like, that's bad.
I mean, wasn't that touchdown on Sunday? Wasn't that our sixth touchdown in 6 games? Something like that.
Literally. Yeah. Something along those lines.
It was like our first offensive touchdown in like a month.
44 drives. Like, give me a break,
something like that. Dude. It was ridiculous. And that was just the thing. Like, if Judge left you with like a better taste in your mouth like he did last year, like, okay, well, they played for him or whatever, that makes sense. But to suck at special teams, to suck at every facet of the game, to get blown out by the Bears the week before, to just they mailed it in the last 3-4 weeks of the season. Basically, ever since like we got the report, okay, Joe Judge is safe next season, the team just was worse than they had previously been.
Exactly. It was, and I think some of that does come from the players. Like, I think we're going to start hearing now that Judge is out. It will not shock me if stuff starts coming to the surface about how that locker room is not exactly the way that he portrayed it. And I think he lost a lot of the fan base too. After every game with this crap, I really liked what did you like? Like, literally tell me what you liked, because since the Saints game, I cannot name one thing that I have enjoyed about this team.
No, I think it wasn't 3 weeks in a row where he just kept bringing up, hey, what about the improvements back of house? What does that matter?
Literally,
we don't get an award for most improved back of house at the end of the season. Like,
and I wonder, then you can start coming up with these conspiracy theories too. Like, I think to myself, like, is there something to the fact that Daniel didn't end up playing? Like, did he know that these were going to be the changes that came, and they were like, let's just not have him in the game at this point? Like, how many of these guys maybe, I don't know. There's a lot that I think is going to go into this. I wouldn't be surprised if this starts blowing up too.
Well, maybe he was fully healthy, and then Joe Judge was like, you ready, kid? Now my neck still hurts. Sorry, buddy. No.
Our practice squad receiver from last season was saying that the training squad was just, or the training staff was just shit, and they're like, yeah, no, rush it back, and like Saquon was being rushed back and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's like, we're gonna find out that like probably the judge mentality, just suck it up, just go out there, just play.
Our medical team needs to be looked at like 100%. I hope that that's something between like two of the more important things that are going to get kind of looked over is we need to look at our scouting department. Like, someone, that main guy, what's his name with a P, he's got to go. He's been there too long. He stinks. He's the head of scouting. And also our medical staff, because something's not right over there. And, you hear, this is probably like the second report we've heard from past players too. They got to make some changes. It's really time to like totally revamp that entire system.
He's got a good, interesting question. If he had taken accountability, do you think Judge is fired today? Rather than where he's just been deflecting for weeks now.
That isn't interesting. I think that added to his demise 100%. I think that it's really frustrating. And I think that one rant too, like, I couldn't even get through the whole thing because I was like,
oh, right.
This is delusion. Like, it's also
it was
unfair.
Like watching The Office. Like, you're watching Michael Scott just go on. You're like, no, right. Stop it.
Like, who are you trying to? Are you trying to convince like Mara that you should keep your job? Because you're not convincing the fans by any means. You're obviously totally disrespecting like what history there is in this franchise, and you're going to start losing a lot of the. Even the kids, right? That they saw one Super Bowl when they were like 8 years old, and then. Now this is what they have is why should they stay a fan? Like, what is their Mara doesn't care. The players at this point are starting to check out. Your coach is sitting there. The first thing he's saying after press conference is that he likes what he saw and our guys fought for 60 minutes. literally, no, they didn't.
No. And that was a big, like you said earlier about...
Is standing up. Nate Solder is standing upright, not even, like, I don't even know if you can consider him playing. Like, he's not, like...
He's just a human turnstile.
That's not fighting, that's not playing, that's not even practicing. Like, he's a body on a field to get paid. That's what he's doing.
No, that's what when you were saying earlier, like, you don't want to hear anything about the Jags. Like, yeah, statistically, they were a worse team than us this year.
Right.
But at least they were fighting until the end. I would happily have watched Giants lose as long as we were going for it. But it just looked like they were just, like you say, just cashing in a check. Yeah, I need to go on the field for 5 minutes, whatever. They didn't care.
And it's weird too, like even this whole like after Gettleman did get fired and they had the players talking to press. Why are they sitting there having to answer the questions? Why are they being asked about Joe Judge? It's just it was really poorly managed too. And I think a lot of those players either like have become buddies with Judge, and we don't need that. We don't need buddies. We need Tom Coughlin. Like, that's what we need again. We need someone to come in, find people when they're 1 minute late, tell them what they can and can't wear to practice, and actually get back. Like, he said he was getting back to fundamentals. How many penalties did we watch? Like, what fundamentals? You guys are getting a penalty on every play. Like, that's not... Fundamentals is like learning. I think
we lost 3 games. We lost 3 games this season because of penalties that brought us back, and it was the Atlanta game, the Washington game, and then I think that wasn't the Philly game. There was another game we lost. It was strictly because we had an opportunity to win it, and
and you look back to the season, right? There is a very clear drop off to when everything. It did not go from like A to D. It went from A to Z, and the season was done. Yeah. Like it was not. Like
fell
last year, at least we stayed in games, right? You saw the guys fighting. Like, it really felt like even guys like Bradbury, right? I feel like we stopped getting really much out of him. Like, and there's little shifts, but I'm telling you, like, once Daniel got hurt, it was just this clear drop off. Everyone was out.
Yeah, and you could sort of even see that with the defense. Even though the defense would start games playing well, like you could just tell that they didn't care because they knew they weren't going to get any help from the offense.
What do you expect them to be out on the field the entire time? They're tired. Like, give the guys a break a little bit. And our schedule wasn't entirely the easiest either. I mean, though we did face a lot, like some seriously competitive teams. You know, we didn't expect the Eagles even to start getting a little bit more. There was a lot that happened this season that it really was a recipe for disaster. But I think Judge deserved this year, but, you know, saying that he was going to keep his job, I think right when that happened, then there was an ultimate switch, too.
Yeah, you could tell he was just like, well, I'm safe then. It doesn't matter. So
right. That rant. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It did seem like towards the end of the season, it was like he got one of those NFL buzzwords of the day, and he's turned his calendar. Oh, fundamentals. I'm going to use this 50 times in an interview now.
Right. And
he tried to go Belichick. He tried to go Belichick and just like dismiss all the questions and stuff like that. And it goes back to what you were saying, where he was like, "Well, they hang out. They're all friends." It's like nobody gives a shit if they're all best friends if the team is losing.
And I love when what was the one where he's like, I didn't realize like how much I appreciate Daniel till he got hurt. What? Like, are you literally like what? First of all, you appreciate him because he was winning games. How he was winning games, which also credit to him because I think that shows that he is more of a leader than people realize. Like he might be he might not be the most vocal kid, but there's obviously something about his presence in the game that was doing something because the talent didn't change much. Yes. We had Shep hurt this day, Slayton that day, Kadir. It doesn't matter because they weren't being effective with those players regardless, and we're used to them getting hurt. But there's obviously something about his presence like that was changing the way these guys even wanted to play on the field.
Yeah, this team is going to look so different, and it's like we're going to have to just learn a whole bunch of different guys going forward from now on. But like it can't get worse than it was.
No,
at least
I really don't think so. I think everyone worries, and this is more people. You know, it's an old school. I get it. We want to go back to old school. The league's just not like that anymore. And I think that's hard even for fans like us that that we saw the Giants like that. We saw old school, and it's hard to see the league turn to a more offensive-minded league. But I mean, I'm ready for the shift. I just want to see them like some of these games. I mean, now we're unwatchable. At least last year, you gave us something to watch. Like, you can't even. This is the first time I've turned off 3 Giants games this year. Like, and I never do that. I watch most of them on mute. Like, I literally can't watch it.
No, it's like
the Bears game, the first.
Well, when we scored 3 points against the Bears, I was like, well, surely next week it can't get worse. And even though we put up more points, technically, it got worse. I don't know how. It's just been miserable watching the Giants. I'm used to watching teams that lose, but
Saquon gets so frustrated on the field. Like, the camera will go to him and he's pissed. Like, because he's sick of it. Like, especially coming back from like an injury like that. Like, you want to be supported by your team. You want to know that you can go out there and make plays. Like, he's not fully being given the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I mean he's done, huh? We're done. We're probably done with Saquon at this point, aren't we?
It'll be interesting. I think that if they were to decide to move on from Daniel, I think that Daniel and Saquon would go in a package.
That would make sense.
I think.
But you don't see Saquon being out and Daniel being back. Like I mean,
Saquon did come out and say that he wants to stay with Daniel. So that's interesting. Not that it's up to him, obviously. But again, like, I see them kind of going together. I think right now, we're going to have to trade, somewhere in there quarterback wise. I really am not a fan of, the quarterbacks in this. I like Malik Willis, but he's more of a second round option. I don't like him. I don't like him enough. Like, I love Daniel. I think that Daniel has all the things you need to be someone that we can have for a very long time. I won't use the word franchise because, again, we haven't even, we're not even getting games that you can evaluate players. That's the craziest thing. We don't know what talent we have because we haven't been given even a full 60 minutes to realize what's there. But I think they would probably go together in some kind of package. But again, we have a lot of guys that are about to hit free agency. Things are going to get, there's a lot
Peppers
going on.
Is probably out. We have there's a bunch of guys we're not gonna have, but it'll be interesting to see what happens within the next month or so. But thank you for coming on today at Stephie Smalls with 3 L's.
Yes.
Stephie Smalls on Twitter. Where can our viewers or listeners where can they find you other than Twitter? Like, give us some schedules. I know you're on every podcast out there.
I'm all over the place. My stuff's a little bit more centered towards one place now. I'm at Champions Round. We're an app, micro fantasy stuff, actually really fun. So fantasy is not over for us. If you guys want to check that out, most of my stuff, you can go to my Twitter at Stephie Smalls with 3 L's. The 3 L's are for Tom Brady. I like to add that in there when I'm with my Giants people. 2 from, us and 1 from Nick Foles. And everything is on there. I have a podcast a couple times a week. I'm going down to the Senior Bowl. I'm very excited about that, especially with everything. I got my credentials last week, so I'll be down there from Tuesday through the game. So I'm very excited for that, especially given, where we are with our franchise. But everything, you can find my stuff on my Twitter.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the pod today.
Love to see you guys. See ya. Cheers.
Cheers.
Go Giants. Go Giants. All right, that was fun. Stephie Smalls, everybody, at Stephie Smalls on Twitter. And I mean,
with 3 L's, don't forget that.
Dude, like, this would have sucked so bad if we had recorded this at 3. If we had recorded an hour earlier, this would have been such a weird show.
Just an hour started
one way and found out in the middle and then shifted, or we would have just had a show that was basically useless now.
But we're not. We're happy. So
where do we go from here? West Ham.
Where do we go from here? Shall we talk West Ham? Shall we?
We can talk West Ham a little bit.
Well, I mean, let's try to get back into, because just real quick, we're going to shout out to our sponsor for this week. As always, we like to bring on our sponsor. Our sponsor this week is Ratio. If you're losing an argument, just tweet Ratio. Thanks for sponsoring us that.
People
shall we
tweet that without it really being a ratio?
That's one of my most favorite things on social media is when someone just tweets Ratio and then no one likes it. It's hilarious. I bet they're crying themselves to sleep. That's the kind of person I am.
I owned this guy.
Or if they do actually get a good rating, they probably print that shit off and frame it. Alex, maybe the Giants and Jets should combine and make a super team. What would that be? Would that just be the Giants, but with a J instead of a G?
Yeah, the Giants. Yeah, it'd be Giants. That'd be.
And then like
easy.
our new badge could be like a giant ant. Giants.
Yeah, it could be. I was just thinking like a giant with an airplane in his hand, like he was about to throw a paper airplane.
It'd be a giant ant, but in there's a Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
Make it happen.
There you go. Done.
Yes. So happy days. Cheers. Celebrate Giants. New days. But yeah, I mean, before we close up, how do you think this is going to all end up? Do you think this is going to be like a full? I know it's way too early to speculate because we haven't even got a new GM, we haven't got a new head coach. But like I say, with a lot of free agencies coming up, a lot of contracts coming up, do you see this as an opportunity to be like, all right, let's start from scratch, let a lot of people go, free up the contract space because as Stephie said, we are getting very close to our cap, and just draft a bunch of young people and build up from the ground up?
It's hard to even think about doing that again because it's like we should have been doing that the last 4 years. But
well, we sort of did, but we just didn't do it well.
Yeah, we tried, but like we didn't ever admit it. Like the Eli thing, like the not handling the Eli thing well was just like, okay, hey, we're gonna go with this now. Now, actually, we're gonna shift now. We're not just gonna give Eli one more year. I don't know. I think that it really honestly depends on who gets brought in. I think really if it's an offensive-minded coach, which it should be, they're going to want to do a lot of things to change house. If Patrick Graham is not retained, which I would say it's looking like if he doesn't get a head coach job, like somebody's going to probably try and scoop him up. But if Patrick Graham is not retained, then yeah, probably a lot of these Giants guys that are not under contract are going to be gone next year.
Well, hopefully a lot of things happen in the next 7 days, and we have a lot to talk about next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's switch gears to our other team, West Ham United, as we switch over for
Hammer time.
Never gets old. West Ham through to the fourth round of the FA Cup after defeating Leeds United 2-0. A lot of people, due to the controversial first goal from Lanzini, saying Leeds were robbed. They were not robbed. Yes, I guess the first goal was a little bit iffy. It could have gone either way, but Leeds had nothing going into that. They had nothing in that game, right? It was a loss waiting to happen for them, right?
Yeah, I mean towards the end they kind of had some offense there, but then like the Bowen goal just put it away, and yeah, I don't know. We've gotten the lucky calls the last two games. I will say that
it's a nice change, right?
We've bitched all season about being on the short end of the stick, and we've been on the opposite end of that the last couple of times. Penalty luck or whatever it's called.
Who calls it that? What does that mean?
Just sometimes, like in football and stuff, like in NFL and stuff, it's like, oh, you just got penalty luck. Like you got the calls here or there, and like, yeah, you had a lot of penalty luck.
Sorry, I misheard you. I thought you said we was in like the penalty locker, and I was like, what the fuck is the penalty locker?
Oh no, which sounds crazy though, doesn't it? You just sit in a locker when you get a penalty.
Right, if you have too many penalties, you have to go to the penalty locker and think about what you did. But yeah, it was a pretty. I was texting my dad, and as I said previously on the show, pretty much me and my dad only communicate through West Ham United. That's all we talk about. But in a weird way, I said to him, when we was 1-0 up, because I mean we scored their second goal. What, in the 89th minute, 90th minute, or something?
Yeah.
Like that. But I was more relaxed at 1-0 from this game than I was the previous game against Crystal Palace when we was 3-0 up. Like, I was nervous about that game for some reason. Well, but this one I was like, we got this.
They had one spurt, and it was right before we scored that goal. It was about 5 minutes before we scored that final goal, the Bowen goal, I believe. Right? Yeah, Antonio just like completely misled the keeper and then passed it right to Bowen who put it in. But Leeds had about 5 minutes where they were threatening. They had a couple corners. And it was just like our defense just stood up that whole time. Was it Dawson out there? And Dawson was all over the field, and just they were able to get it done. And it was some of the best defense that we've played, even though it was a FA Cup game and not a Premier League game, and in the year at least.
Well,
all 2022 for sure. Yeah, but no, I was pretty impressed with it. And then we just dominated the time of possession. We dominated the ball the entire time outside of those 5 minutes right before we put it away.
Yeah, it's nice to be through. And we've got Kidderminster, the old Kidderminster Harriers in the fifth round, who are in the Conference League. Well, the Harriers.
A harrier is a bird, I believe, or a plane, or both.
See, that's what because they do have a picture of a bird on their badge. I would definitely have a Harrier jump jet. Oh my, that'd be cool as fuck on there.
A harrier bird, hawk, and there is also a harrier jet. So nailed it. Look at me, knowing harriers. Talking Harriers today on Claire and Big Blue.
Welcome to Birdwatch on Claire and Big Blue.
Little Harry Potter fact: his full name is Harrier Potter.
No, it's not.
No,
I was gonna say you just made Harold. Alex O, join us live as always on YouTube, and you could do that. Next game is Norwich, more like Lamewich.
Nice.
Sick burn.
Nice.
Sick burner.
Yeah. Take that, Norwich. Dude, and they're the Canaries, too. They're the Canaries. I'm not scared of the Canaries.
No, Harrier would fuck up a canary.
A canary, yes. It's like, what are you doing? They sing a little song? No one cares.
You put it in a cage and then it dies if you take it down a coal mine or some shit.
Yeah.
Worst bird ever.
Coal miners? I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, they warn coal miners by dying. Like, when the canary dies, you need to get out. That's what they were used for.
It's a sick police song.
Like, okay.
I'm just saying, it was. Yeah, the Premier League and soccer in general just have a lot of very non-threatening team names. Like the Baggies. Who is the Baggies? It's just like most of them are just birds.
West Brom, right?
Yeah, it's just West Brom. I'm not scared of anything named Baggy.
I will say Man United got a pretty good one, the Red Devils. I mean, although I don't like that in terms of what up, as opposed to the other color devils that everyone knows of.
No, the Blue Devils, Duke Blue Devils. Dude, you should know this as a big college basketball fan, being a UK fan.
Are they the Blue Devils?
Blue Devils? Yeah.
See, so what? The Devil's cold? So he's so cold he's turned blue? I'm not scared of that guy.
It works. He's just blue, dude. So maybe the hottest part of the flame is blue. Or something like that. I don't know. Just run with that. It sounds like it makes sense. I also think it's just funny where it's just like there's the Red Devils, but then there's also just the Reds. Because that's what Liverpool is, right?
Yeah, that's the worst nickname ever.
Then the Blues, where it's just like, I know that we have that in baseball and hockey and stuff, but it's just like, did you just really? You're like, yeah, just go with the color. Like, not a thing? No, just a color.
Someone got paid a lot of money. Like, what do we nickname? What color do they wear? Blue. They're the Blues. Perfect.
They're the Blues. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
They have a lion on their, do you want to? No, they're the Blues.
Yeah.
Then we are the Hammers or the Irons. I like that because those are interchangeable, though. Citizens is a stupid one.
Yeah, that is a stupid one. That's almost like
I mean, it makes sense, but it's weird when they have to spell citizens. Is that how they spell it in Europe?
No. It's CITI. They're just trying to be fancy.
Okay.
Because it's Man City, citizens.
What are
but no one cares.
Eagles, Spurs. This is me just naming team mascots. That's really what it is.
Tottenham Hotspur is just a cock on a ball.
Well, then you have weird. That is. It's bullshit. It's stupid. But you have weird things like why is Wolverhampton Wolves makes sense? You know, like they're just like Wolf. We had Wolf in the name, but then you have Watford, and they have
Hornets.
The Hornets. But what is their mascot? Like the shield on their thing isn't a hornet.
But they have a mascot. They have a man dressed up as a cartoon hornet.
Okay, well, I mean, but they have a moose. They have a moose on their crest, though. Like, why are they the Hornets? That doesn't make sense. The Wolves are the Wanderers, but they have.
Yeah, I remember us saying it in the previous where their badge should just be a lost guy. I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering.
Question mark. What is Leeds? The Leaders.
Leeds. What is their nickname?
Potters is Everton. Is Aston
The
Villa.
Potters. So they're just gardening. They're just doing some gardening. I'm just potting some flowers.
This is cool. And that's... What is Newcastle? The Zebras? I mean, that's what it looks like, right?
Are they the Toon Army or something? Or was that their fans?
I don't know. This is probably not fun for anybody.
The Magpies.
The
Newcastle are the Magpies.
Another bird.
Again,
Another bird.
shitty bird. Although I think Magpie probably beats the Canary as well.
Yeah.
This is going into past the gravy territory where it's like rank the birds.
But just like, come up with a different thing, you know? What is... Yeah, we don't need
if I was going to have a team, I'd have the West Ham shark with lasers on their head. It's a good... Austin Dr. Evil. But yeah, so in summary, I think we're going to beat Norwich.
We're fucking better, man. This seems
I'd like
a
to
game
think we're going to win 2 games. We better win the next 2 games.
We better.
And then we better sign someone. Because I was going to play my funny transfer watch video, but nothing's happened, really.
Nothing's happened. And so much has happened with the Giants. There's too much happening with them. Who would have thought the Giants would overshadow West? I guess that would have made sense with all the change, with the GM change anyways, but still.
Well, I think anyway, either way, this was going to be a very Giants-heavy show.
Like our recap. This is the most heavy we're going to do. Actually, no, it's not, because we're going to have to talk about a GM hire and a coaching hire eventually. So after that, though, it'll kind of get a little bit boring, I bet. But as of now, we're good.
As of now. And then I was going to try to bring in our hot African Cup of Nations coverage, but the beIN Sports app on Roku blows, and I just can't watch anything on it. So I have no idea. You know, I tried to watch Ben Rama today, Benny Hanna.
They drew with SLE, whoever SLE is.
Was that
Sierra Leone?
Sierra Leone.
Didn't know that was a country. So.
Hey Mike, are you a New York City FC fan or New York Red Bulls? I'm a New York Red Bulls fan.
We're a Dynamo podcast also, so chill out.
And yeah, I've only been to one game though. I've only been to one game. I've been to so many Red Bull Arena.
Games.
Whatever.
I've been like competition. 10. Yeah, it is. It's always a competition.
How long you lived in Houston?
Since 2004.
So what's that? 17 years?
Something like that, yeah. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, dude. I'm not doing math here.
I've been living here like 5 years. 6. So I've still got 12 years to catch up. I'm gonna knock them all out next season. I'm not really, because I don't want to go all the way to the giant Red Bull Arena. It's so far and it's in the middle of nowhere. There's no bars nearby. It's kind of sucks, the area. Like, why would you have a soccer stadium and not have like places to get drunk afterwards nearby? That's stupid.
Right.
Yeah, that's just me. Maybe that's just me. All right, so any prediction? We're just going to blow them out, Norwich and Leeds.
We're going to win 2-0 is Norwich.
2-0?
Mm-hmm.
And then Leeds. I reckon the league game's going to be a little bit closer.
Probably
maybe like 2-1 or something.
Yeah.
But I would love to beat like Norwich. It's like 7-0 or something. Because they are a bad team this year.
Yeah, we need to help with that goal differential.
Exactly. We need to pump it up because Man United are catching us up. Although we still do have a better goal differential than Man United, which is nice. Still. Alright. Are you a New York Rangers or New York Islanders fan? Neither. I am a New Jersey Devils fan. Woo! So I'm like loving shitty teams right now. Like I'm all about it.
Besides West Ham.
Besides West Ham. Yeah, who would have thunk from a couple of years ago West Ham would be my only good team I'm supporting.
Look at us.
Right, it's coming up to 7 o'clock Eastern, so it's time to plug. One of the good folks of the Gravy Gang got to look forward to tomorrow on an all-new episode of Pass the Gravy.
We're going to look forward to the NFL playoffs, the Super Wild Card Weekend, talk a little bit about Bob Saget passing, and I have some pretty killer ideas I'm going to pitch to the gang. And then we'll answer your questions and tell you guys what is not cool this week. I think it'll be a good one. It's good to be. We got back for the first live episode last week, or first episode last week of the year, and it's good to be back. What about Waffle Box? What do we got tomorrow?
Waffle Box, we've got a COVID special. Fear not. It's not going to be where we're going to be pretending that we have scientific and medical knowledge. Nope, it's just funny stories all surrounding COVID lately. Spoiler alert, like there's a man in India who thought 3 jabs wasn't enough. He's had like 20 COVID vaccinations, so we're going to go into that.
Offense is a good defense.
And someone whose son tested positive for COVID at their home test, so she wanted to make sure, so she wanted to take him to a proper testing center. So just to be safe, she locked him in the trunk of the car.
That was in Houston. That's here in Houston.
Oh, was that in Houston?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we're going to be talking about that and more coming up on Waffle Box. So check those out at Pass the Gravy Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and at Waffle Box Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Yes, happy Manuary, everyone.
Happy Manuary, everyone.
Hope everyone's enjoying their manual. Oh, look at that. Notice it's not opened. You're not like...
It's not an open demand, Rich, no.
Is it? Have you actually tried one?
Yeah, dude, they're awesome.
Are they?
Yeah, dude.
Is there like literally a sandwich in there, or is that just the contents and you have to get the bread yourself?
No, you have to get the... You get like the beef, the meat, just some ground beef. Chop that bad boy up, and then put this. This is like the seasoning, the sauce that goes on it, and then you make your sloppy Joe.
So much work.
No, it's not. You just ground beef in a pot or in a pan, just on top of it. Stir it up, cook it, done. Yeah, I guess you had to be watching the video version, but whatever. And then
for those listening, he was making a pouring gesture.
Mm-hmm.
With the manwich. All right, well, yep. So that wraps this up for another week. Goodbye, Joe Judge. Happy retirement, Dave Gettleman. Even though I'm kind of still sour at the fact that he got to retire rather than getting fired, but whatever. Positive vibes again. Are back in town for the New York Giants. Positive vibes are always in town for West Ham. Who are crushing it. Again, follow me at Mr. Mike Fish. Follow him as Alex J. Middleton at CBB Pod. Get your swag. Celebrate possibly the last season of Daniel Jones. Hopefully not, but get this at merch.cbbpod.com. And until next week, don't forget.
Seahorses forever.
See you next Tuesday.